coming from a small school, like nothing is guaranteed. Like you don't have any merit behind your name. You don't have anything backing you except for people. And man, it's been a long journey. It's not over. Nothing's given. It's all earned, and it's just a day by day process. And I'm just trying to like really have appreciation for every moment.
Hello, welcome back to Division I Rejects. I'm your host, Kobe Manzo, and the night of June 2nd, recording D1R 204. Got a really exciting story for you guys tonight. It's a guy who we've featured on the podcast before, Tucker Horn, the quarterback out of Trinity down in San Antonio in Texas, the D3 signal caller, who we talked about in this show. We had him on the program, made some great playoff runs with that Trinity squad. And, for him, after college football, like most guys, there wasn't a pro opportunity knocking on the door on the other side of things. And he picked up a teaching and coaching gig and was actually coaching his younger brother at Lubbock Christian. We'll talk all about it. And now the CFL has come knocking. He has balled out in 2 of his preseason games with the Toronto Argonauts. And I'm really excited to have Tucker back on the show, friend of the program, and talk about this journey for him and really how that opportunity came about, of course, and how he's planning to take advantage of that. They start the regular season this week in Montreal against the Owlets. So excited to have Tucker on the show. Otherwise, really short episode for you guys tonight, but just a really neat story there with Tucker. Also going to highlight some more D3 teams overseas. I believe we had 3 Division III football teams recently in Italy. That must be the hot spot for some reason for D3 football over there in Italy, whether it's Rome or Venice or all these different places. We'll talk about it. The Amalfi Coast. I'm going to highlight 3 of those teams later on. But otherwise, that's it for tonight's episode. As always, you can watch this on YouTube. Don't forget, if you are watching, down below the little red bar, fast forward to any part of the video. And then those same timestamps are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, you name it. So follow us on socials. We got a brand new website launching very soon. So really excited about that. You guys should see that in a week or 2, very, very shortly here. So I think it's going to be a really cool way to legitimize the product and find some more features for you guys that make this show all the more fun. So without further ado, let's get right into that first guest episode with Tucker Horn. Joining the show, the former signal caller at D3 Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas. He's made the move north, joined the Toronto Argonauts in the CFL. Quarterback, Tucker Horn. What's going on, brother?
Not much. Doing good. Excited to be back on.
Should say welcome back. I was going to say welcome back. Yeah. It's fun, too, when I get to follow up with guys like you, every once in a while, and I get to go dig back to see how many eons ago it felt like when we talked previously. A lot has happened in your life, and most notably, as of late, you go from a nice coaching and teaching gig at Lubbock Christian, coaching younger brother, to getting signed to the pros. How the hell does that work, and also what took them so long?
Yeah, I went through the pro day process, worked really hard there. Nothing with the NFL kind of happened. I was supposed to go to the Argos last year for training camp, and it just wasn't God's plan. And I got signed in October later, but I got to keep training through the summer. Signed with the IFL, didn't end up going to the IFL because I got signed by the Argos. But
there you go.
Started coaching. Got the really cool opportunity to coach my brother who played quarterback at Lubbock Christian High School. Yeah. And that was my hometown. That's where my parents live. And man, it was a true blessing. Like, it was so cool to spend that time with him. He, our relationship, developed an immense amount, and I got to see him grow up into like a super respectable young man. And he's on his way to Trinity too. So it was super cool to be on that journey. And then, off season into the Argos, and just really taking one day at a time and trying to get better every day, because, coming from a small school, like nothing is guaranteed. Like you don't have any merit behind your name. You don't have anything backing you except for people. And man, it's been a long journey. It's not over. Nothing's given. It's all earned, and it's just a day by day process. And I'm just trying to like really have appreciation for every moment. So
100%. You talked about getting to see him turn into a respectable young man. Damn good quarterback too, by the way. I think we should, obviously you focused on the more important part of the two there, but also really good quarterback, family affair now at Trinity, which is a really neat piece. And now you get that almost removed from the game for a minute, to have that maybe change of perspective and start to think maybe down the road. I'm assuming through that whole process, playing professional football was still at the forefront of your goals. How did you handle still being all in and being present and being devoted to that role that you had at Lubbock Christian with balancing some of those personal aspirations of continuing to play professionally?
Yeah, I mean, it had always been the goal, and I made that clear with my the head coach there. His name is Chris Softly, an awesome Christian man, and he honestly like laid the opportunity out for me. He was like, "Hey, like come coach. You will have the opportunity to work out. Keep throwing the football. Doing everything you can outside of coaching and being able to develop young men." So I owe it all to a lot of it to him. Like he gave me the time to work on my craft while still coaching and while still being present, but also demanded, a lot of hard work out of me. So it was super cool to be across the table, being able to coach, young kids and being able to teach them a little bit about football, from the knowledge that's been passed on to me, just trying to, pass it on down the line to them. And man, that it was a super, super fun time while having the goal of, I've been working towards playing professional football and, never losing sight of all the work I put in before then and just
Yeah.
continuing to chop every single day. So.
No, that is awesome. And now we get to do the fun part of fast forwarding to today, right? And through the preseason right now with the Argos. Second preseason game, 16 to 21, 172 yards through the air, a touchdown. This past Friday, you go out, you do it again. 10 of 17, 104, another touchdown. Walk me through those games. You talked about it already, but earning that opportunity going out there and in a quarterback room that we'll talk about has a lot of depth already.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, it's a testament to my coaches. I've kind of played the game the same way since I've grown up. Starting in high school with Casey Dacus, he taught me how to like really understand how defenses work. And into college with Coach Jeremy Urban, who had 10 years of NFL experience, passed that even more knowledge on to me. And then here at the Argos, like these coaches are the best of the best. Ryan Dinwiddie and Mike Miller, my QB coach, like they really demand a lot out of you, but they're also teaching a ton to you. Like we're
Mhm.
constantly looking at, the different, movement that we get from CFL defenses and the different, parts of the Canadian game. And I've just tried to like really, really learn, every single day from the older guys in the QB room. And
Yeah.
those preseason games, I was lucky enough to, rely on some of that practice and play after play, just doing my job. So.
And you're not just joining, I mean, not to downplay other squads, you're not just joining another CFL team. You're talking about the defending Grey Cup champs, the best of the best when it comes to the CFL. And this is, from what I can tell, we kind of mentioned it earlier, some serious depth in that quarterback room with Kelly, Arbuckle both back, seeing some serious snaps in last year's run that ended with a championship. How do you fit into that equation, and what has that competition level, been like in what has got to be one of the best quarterback rooms in the league?
Yeah, I mean, Chad Kelly, awesome at Ole Miss. Has NFL experience, came into the league. He's a reigning MOP.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the most outstanding player in the CFL. And then Nick Arbuckle's a stud too. Like he's played I think like 9 or 10 years in the CFL. So he's got immense experience and he's a great quarterback. He'll be the week 1 starter. And then Jarrett Dagey, he's coming from West Virginia. We're actually from the same hometown in Lubbock, Texas. So it's
That's awesome.
super small world. Yeah. But all of them are great guys, and it's a lot of passing around ideas and just helping each other out because the end goal is just a win at the end of the day. So it's a super cool room to be in, super cool room, and guys to learn from. They're super awesome.
Yeah, I like that a lot, man. And kind of talking on that point a little bit more, there are more QBs that are part of this mix, and now you've moved forward to this final roster and these final cuts and additions being made. You're still around. There's a lot of other guys on that list previously that need to go find another opportunity. And not that you needed any more maybe of a confidence boost or internal feeling of, kicking that imposter syndrome, so to speak. But now having made that roster and seeing some of the guys that maybe you've worked with through the preseason or through some of these other early in the season type of deals that now have to go on and find new opportunities, that has to be a very reaffirming sense of, hey, I've gone here, I've shown these guys exactly what I'm capable of, even after this hiatus away from playing football at this type of level, and I've earned my spot on this roster. Talk about being on the back end, reflecting on that, and kind of what you've proven through this process.
Yeah, absolutely. Like yesterday when I found out that I had made the roster, it was a great time to celebrate with my parents. Like, man, it had been a long time coming.
Yeah.
There was lots of hard work put in and support from my parents, my coaches, my brothers, you know, my head coach at Lubbock Christian. Man, it's just been like I've had so much support, and to be able to take a day and be like, man, like you can do this. Like you're coming from a small school. You've been knocked for like the level of competition you played at, but you can do this. Like there's a path for you to do this. It was super cool, but like now it's you got to earn it every day because like this is a business.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't, rest on any accomplishments because, everybody's chasing everybody every single day. So it's just like a steady grind. You have to get better every single day or else, you're on the outside looking in.
100%. I talked about the success last year for this Argonauts team. They've won 2 of the last 3, though, and that's something that has gone back throughout history. They have the most in the history of the CFL with 19. What have you learned from being around that organization that is, you believe helped them achieve that?
Yeah, it's the how do I say it? It's the constant hunger for success,
Yeah.
perfection, and just like a great culture. Like Coach RD is, he's coming into the first team meeting being like, you're not all in here just because you're great football players, but because you're great dudes, and we will have a good locker room. Like that's gonna be first off. Like if we don't have a good locker room, we're not gonna be able to depend on each other later in the season. And from what I've heard and from the knowledge that I've gained is that like this group has been really close the last couple of years, and that's what's led to their success and to them winning Grey Cups, them appearing in like East Finals,
Yep.
and to all the individual successes that players from those past teams have had. So I'm just trying to fit in where I can and trying to support and get better every day. But like first and foremost, it's like it's just a you know it's again like a constant hunger for perfection and the details.
Love that, man. And now I wanted to ask, too, anything surprise you about their operation or maybe the practice environment up there?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the speed, like every first off, everybody's professional, everybody's handling the business on their own.
Absolutely.
There's not as much you know there's not as many team activities or team meetings as there in college. Like I'm not sitting in on special teams meetings anymore like I did all throughout college
Yeah,
or anything
that's
like that.
wild, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. But like everybody is just trying to put their best foot in front of another and just trying to take steps every single day because like at the end of the day like it is your job to show up every single day with like the craving to get better. So
100%. Now, going forward, going into the regular season, kicking off this week, you guys at Montreal, what are the next steps for you in your role with this group?
so we're just gonna have with the schedule, we're just having Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of like some serious film study with the coaches, some practice, getting bodies right, and then Thursday we'll fly up to over to Montreal, east of Montreal, and have a game on Friday. But yeah, lots of preparation ahead. Lots of ideas to pass around, and just a lot of mental, preparation and studying that's going to take place this week. So I'm excited for my first week.
Nothing you ain't used to doing. I mean, obviously at a different level, of course, but yeah, you've spent some time in a film room. I think they definitely established that when they watched you play and turned the tape on from Trinity, dude. But going into talking about your individual role, right? We talked about you already sung their praises earlier on. The guys that are in that quarterback room have earned it, right? And they've done it at a very high level in this league and others. For you going into that role, of course, trying to be a sponge, trying to learn as much from them. But how do you go and try and challenge them on a day-to-day basis in practice and try and make them and of course your defense and other people on that team better?
Yeah, I think it's just showing up and giving my best every single day. I think if I'm uh, you know studying at home or studying it, in the film room up at the facility, and passing along ideas that I see, then that can help the team. I think that if I'm, asking questions, that other people may have but may not be like consciously thinking about, I think that can help the team. And I think that if like physically I'm ready to go at practice, bringing the juice and
Yeah.
encouraging and playing as hard as I can. I think that helps the defense get better. So yeah, I think there's a lot of room for me to support and to be able to get ready to play at the same time. So
Still got to look out for you and your business, of course. And of course, part of that business is winning, right? Having a winning record helps with a lot of those deals. And to go back to that, you did a lot of winning at Trinity, which is part of the reason why you're in this position right now. You didn't do it alone, of course. Had some great teammates. One of them being Raider, your brother, and then, of course, just recently you talked about it earlier, Welker now going over to the Tigers. I mean, that's a special, special deal. What can you talk about that? And also, what would the three of you on the same team? What would that team be like?
yeah, so. Uh, from the get-go, like we couldn't have ever have planned that. Like we were a baseball family growing up. We played basketball. Like we
Yeah.
didn't play football until basically high school. So it didn't really, it wasn't like we were just born into football. But like it's a testament to who Coach Urban is, who Coach Lytle is, and who Coach Mahalik is. Like we really believe in Coach Gazelle. We really, really believe in the coaches down there. My family believes in the coaches. Like when Raider was coming out of high school, it was, hey, like, do you think this is a fit for me? Heck yes, this is a fit for you. This is where you're going to grow as a man. Like they demand a lot out of you, and they're going to coach you up every single day. And then for Welker, it was like, Welker is you know, he is so physically gifted and way more physically gifted than I was coming out of high school. And my family and I and Welker, like there is nobody we would rather you learn under than Coach Urban. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter the level. You can go chase NIL, you can go chase PWO. Like Coach Urban is a guy that you want to go play for. And like Welker had committed. It was his first offer or whatever, and he immediately committed there. So that
Absolutely.
was super, super cool. Yeah. And Raider just graduated and Welker's going in there. So my parents are gonna have like 10 years straight of Trinity football or whatever. So it's super, super cool. Raiders heading to med school at Texas Tech. Super proud of him for that. And
That's
then,
awesome.
Welker's starting his journey, and I'm texting Coach Herb like, this is so crazy. I remember the other day when I was, putting on my Trinity uniform on my recruiting visit and coming in on my freshman year. And man, it's so cool to see. Like I'm so happy for him.
That's awesome. That really is awesome. Raider going pro in another field, right? And then props to you, big bro, for talking about the physical traits coming out of high school. That he's even better than I was. He's got some high expectations to live up to for sure. A lot of those that you and those teams down there for the Tigers set. What kind of legacy do you hope you've kind of left with that team and that program, and how do you think they can continue to build off of that?
Yeah, I think that I had said it in my last game when we lost at North Central, but like I want the Tigers to never quit. And part of the never quitting is like the appreciation for the everyday process, like getting better every day. Welker is going in as, yes, he's physically gifted. Um, you know, he's going in as his own human being. He's got his own journey, but like him and his teammates have to have an appreciation for every single day. And that's what's going to take them to their end goals. Like they're not just there to develop as football players, but they're there to develop as young men. And if they go into every day and attack it with 100% effort, they will achieve those goals. And they're gonna reap the rewards of however much effort they put in. And if you're just stacking days, then you're gonna have lots to celebrate at the end of your run.
Your head and your heart are in the right place, brother. You talk as good as you play, and I'm just excited to see you, get your chance, continue to prove others wrong or right, depending on which side of the fence you're on. So whenever that does come, whether it's the Argos or otherwise, start of a long career and journey for you, my friend. Thank you for joining the show again.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Big thank you to Tucker for coming back on the show. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about these three D3 football teams, all making the trip over to Italy this spring. Let's start with Western New England. The boys, here they are, day one over in Venice. A couple of great pictures from the scene over there. This was not the first trip to Italy for the program. I believe it was their third trip in program history going to Italy specifically, which is a really neat deal. They did it through what's called the Dream Team Italy Group. That's the kind of organization that puts on this type of travel and logistics. Here's some scenes from day three, the practice scene. And look at that setup. Yeah, the field itself isn't anything ridiculous, but the rainbow through midfield is insane, and that backdrop of the mountain ranges is just incredible. So there's the team shot of all the fellas. And then, of course, the game day setup. Here you have it. Golden Bear football is global. Here's some shots from the game day setup over there in Italy. There's the entire squad and kind of a look at the stadium they played in, playing against an Italian professional team over there. So I think sometimes the misconception is that these guys go over and play other college or youth or maybe even amateur type teams. Sometimes it is a collegiate type of team, but a lot of times it is actually a professional team over there, and that's the one that ends up playing these guys because when you go overseas, you kind of get around some of the ruling of not having it called an actual competition, right? From a D3 standpoint, it's just like a scrimmage, a different kind of deal in that sort. So the next team wanted to highlight here is UW Eau Claire out of the WIAC. They went over to Italy as well and had some great shots from the guys' trip over in Rome that I wanted to take a look at. And just imagine doing this. I mean, most of you watching probably played football in college at some point, but either way, imagine doing this with all your guys or girls, your group, and going over and experiencing all of this stuff together in a foreign place, which is really neat. So here's some shots from Eau Claire's trip, and then, of course, you have the game day setup, the Blue Golds and the Lugano Frogs. That's the team that Eau Claire played over there, and here's a couple pictures. We got the jersey swap from the fellas in the stadium, which is really cool. They had overnight stays in Rome, the Tuscany region, and Milan Lake, the Como area, with excursions to a couple different spots in Switzerland. So really a hell of a time, and you see that stadium setup is really sweet. And I have to imagine you kind of see the setup of some of these stadiums they're playing in, which those two look very familiar. It could have even been the same one. But I'm imagining those are probably European football style stadiums, the pitch, if you will, and of course being retrofitted for some Americanized football. Absolutely love to see that. But the other team I wanted to highlight here before we wrap things up was the Augustana squad going over to Italy as well. And let's start things off with the Amalfi Coast. I mean, look at this, man. Fellas absolutely enjoying it. And I think that's something that we talked with Wes last week from Muhlenberg, that most of this is not actually about the football. It's about the experience. It's about going over there with your teammates and all the things that come with it, experiencing another culture and going and exploring all these different places. But of course, the football part of it is a very important one. Here's a shot of both teams, I do believe, after their game. The Lazio Marines, hopefully pronouncing that one correctly. That's who they took on over there. You got the flag proudly represented. And here is the entire group post-game. So a really neat deal for there. Not a first trip abroad for the Vikings, who took on, like I said, Lazio Marine of the Italian Football League, the IFL. A little bit of a different IFL. So really neat deal there. That's the three D3 football teams that I saw in Italy. There's more international trips, I am certainly aware, but these are the ones where we had some cool pictures, and I wanted to highlight those guys before I wrapped up this episode. So thank you for tuning in. This has been a shorter one, but appreciate you checking in with us this week. Follow us on the socials, and stay in touch.